Alright guys, so we're at the bench. It is in the middle of a winter storm right now. Can't play golf. It's been like 2 weeks. I'm itching like crazy. So naturally what I decided to do was completely revamp all of my golf clubs. Re-swing weight, re-shaft, change out the ferrules, change out the grips. What better time than now, right? So we've got our hybrids right here, our 3, 4, and 5. They're just kind of, we got them all glued up. We got the new ferrules installed. We changed all the shafts out from, we had the hazardous 80 gram here, and we went to the Tensei CK hybrids, 80 grams on here as well. I love them in my driver and my woods, so I just wanted to keep it consistent down the line with my graphite shafted clubs. So those are good. You can see we changed the ferrules from the standard just black that came with Tour Edge. I love the Tour Edge hybrids. I mean, say what you want to say, but I love them. We just changed the ferrules out because we're going with a blue theme. But here we got here, you guys know I play the Maltby TS3s. So I had them before. I'll throw a picture up in a red configuration. So we had red grips, aluminum red ferrules, and then our dot here, Maltby dot, was red. So now we've just gone ahead and changed it to blue. So we've got those. We've got our blue Royal Grip LinkTechs. I love these grips. They're inexpensive. For 13 grips, I think it runs you about $39. And I change my grips out probably 3 times a year. So you're talking 120 bucks for an entire year, and I've got new grips every 3 months. It's what you would pay with just one set of multi-compounds if you're lucky. But I love the feel. It's personal preference, you know. Grips are a personal thing. For our ferrules, we are going to go with not the same as the ones as the hybrids. We wanted to change it up a little bit, so we got BB and FCO here. We're going with these guys, blue, light blue, a white, and a kind of a metal banding on there as well. It's got a little bit of everything. I think with the Maltby clubs, it's going to look pretty good. Then of course we've reshafted, we're going to reshaft our wedges because I got them from Wedgeworks. They had the Vokey grips on them. We took all that junk off and we're going to put on the Royal Links. So they're all the same. Let's see here. We've got the 44 degree. This replaced my pitching wedge in the Maltby set. And then we've got a 50. These are all SM10s. 50 SM10, a 56 SM10, and then my 60 is an old one. This is an SM8. I hardly ever use my 60. I'm just going to start putting this stuff together, kind of talk through my processes as we go. We have already cut. I mean, obviously everything was already cut. We're not changing anything in terms of length of the shaft. I put my grips on with air, so all I got to do is just pop them on and off. This is just regular build-up tape. If you watch the channel, you know how I do this. So they're already taped. They're all ready to go. We've done the re-swing weighting. So all of these, we re-swing weighted them the other day when we just, you know, kind of cleaned them all up. And the swing weighting is really easy, guys. When you have it set up like this and you're just waiting to do your build, always save one of your grips. If you try out different grips, always save one and split it just like that, just like you would take it off. Because what you do when you go to swing weight, like for example, this the shaft here for my 60 degree wedge, all you're going to do is just slip that grip on there, just like so. It's the same weight as the grip that I'm replacing. If you don't know, get yourself a little scale. You can measure that out. So I've got a 50 gram grip, I've got 52, I've got 60, I've got mid-size, I've got jumbo, all different ones depending on what I'm going to be using. I have a sacrificial ferrule here that I use. It's been extended so it fits on there clean. And the head. So this is basically how I do it. I just set it up like this. and I can just go ahead and get a pretty much dead accurate swing weight on my clubs this way. You figure in with the epoxy, you're gonna add maybe 1 point. So when I swing weight this, like this 60, I wanted it set to a D4. I swing weighted it to just heavier than a D3 because I know that epoxy is gonna change and it's gonna make it come in a little bit heavier. So that's just the only thing that I would suggest. When you do that, don't swing weight it to the exact weight before you put the epoxy in. It always adds just a little bit. So the good thing about having all this prepared is we can just go right into this. There's no worry that I'm gonna have of, oh crap, I forgot to swing weight this, or I didn't put the swing weight in the shaft. They're all in there. You can see the tip weights already in there. They're already glued up. The tips are abraded. The shaft is clean. These are 100% ready for install. It just makes this whole process go so much faster. And it's kind of the way that I've always worked. You just bite it off in pieces, do a little bit here, a little bit there, and then once all the components come in, we were waiting for the ferrules today. That's kind of what was the hold up. But they're here, and now we can just get all these guys assembled and glued, and yeah, we'll be ready to go. So for my epoxy, I always use Golfworks epoxy, and I always use shafting beads as well. For the ferrules, they are a 355 fit, so they fit on here perfect. We won't need to do any kind of reaming them out, making them bigger, anything like that, so they all fit. So, like I said, we're prepared. It's going to go quick. Now, the epoxy is a 1-to-1 ratio by volume. It is if you were going to do it by weight and be a little bit more specific, the black is, we'll call it 1 gram to 0.72 grams of the hardener. I prefer to just do it by volume. I use these cups here. They have all of the measurements on there. It just makes everything easier when we go ahead and put this stuff together. So for 9, we're gonna need probably between 15 and 20 milliliters of total epoxy. It's probably a little much, but let's see how much we pull out on this. I don't want to end up with not enough. So that was 7.5 that we just put in of the black. So we'll go ahead and put the rest of this up to the 15. We should have 7.5 and 7.5. So that should be it for our epoxy. Number one thing, guys, when you're using your epoxy and you're putting this together, mix it really good. I see so many people that don't do a good mix with your epoxy. It's a very quick kind of mix. You don't really get all of it in there. Just take your time and mix this. It will release heat, so it's one way to know if you're mixing enough. It should loosen up, and it doesn't loosen up because you're mixing it. It loosens up because it's a thermogenic reaction, and the epoxy is actually releasing a little bit of heat. So if you ever feel it getting hot, that is why. So we're going to add our shafting beads onto this, right into the mix. Some people like to do it after the fact, you know, put it onto the tip of the shaft. I mean, it's 6 one way, half a dozen other. It's whatever you prefer to do. So we will mix that in. All right, zoom in there a little bit, and let's get to epoxying. So just no particular order, I'm just going to go down with whatever's in front of me. So we've got the 60. I will put a little bit of the epoxy into the ferrule, like so. Get that on there. I'll put some on the shaft. It's one of the things that I like doing this time of year. Not much going on. Can't really do too much outside. You know, in this area, we have winter for about 2 weeks of the year, and this just happens to be the week. So it is what it is. Let's do something productive. So we've got our 60. Right. Give it a couple taps. Make sure that ferrule is fully seated. I don't worry too much about fully cleaning off the epoxy at this point. It's not hard to go back later and do that. Everyone seems to think for some reason that it's such a chore to take off epoxy. It's really not once you know what you're doing. But you do want to get off as much as you can. But little smears here and there, I'll show you how to take that off. You just got to be a little patient and a little timely in what you do. So set this up. We are a label down kind of guy. 60 was a little bit of a loose fit. The rest of these are a little tighter. All right, so on to our 56. So pretty much everything that I use here in the shop I got from GolfWorks. I do use Amazon as well to get some other components that I may need, but GolfWorks for me just has the best quality stuff. Their shipping isn't the fastest by any means. But all in all, they do what I need for them to do pretty quickly. So that was a much nicer fit. All right, I'm gonna move on here to the 50. Put a comment below, like, what are you working on? You got anything going on with your set, with your builds? Curious to hear what you guys are doing. It's kind of a strange time for everybody when this winter weather hits, and you know, in the south here, when it's not supposed to be happening, it obviously happens, and everyone's just, I can tell you, as much as I miss all my buddies and friends up north, I definitely do not miss the 9 to 13 inches of snow that they're about to get, when all we're going to get is probably ice, which down here is probably worse than 13 inches of snow. Another good fit. Nice tight fit. The one thing when you guys are doing this that I want to, you know, it's make sure that you get those ferrules tight. There's nothing worse than putting a build together and you end up with the amateur gap of the ferrules. It sucks. Sometimes you can't control it. Just is what it is. But when you can, do your best to do that. Also, little tip too is epoxy comes in different colors. So if you're using a, well, it comes in two colors really. It comes in black and clear. So if you're going to be doing something with a black colored ferrule, use the black colored epoxy. It's going to do something that has some colors in your transition point between your ferrule and your shaft head. For your hosel, use the clear. It won't show as much. So as you can see, it's preparation. This thing goes pretty fast. Looks funny because the ferrules are going down that way, but the shafts are going up that way because of the hosel length on the club. Made me question myself for a second. You don't have to be too perfect when you're doing the labels down anyway. What I like to do is I use a little bit of a cheat method when I set these up. I've got my shaft label here, but on the front here you can see is where I mark my club, the swing weight. That's the club number is the opposite center of where the label is. So when I'm assembling, I essentially just center to that point. Okay, again, let's make sure that our ferrule is set tight. That looks great. And finally we will center the label. Alright, so these are all done. All we got to do now is just wait a couple hours, let that epoxy initially set up, clean off our applicator here, and we'll leave our epoxy out. This is just, you can see I've got one here from the hybrids. Hybrids haven't cured quite 24 hours. That epoxy, you can see, is still a little soft. But this is just leave it out there. That way you know when you go back, look at it, feel it, crunch it. Does it feel like it's supposed to feel? Everything is sitting pretty good. We're just gonna leave it alone. Come back in like 3 hours, maybe 4, depending. It's a little warm in here because we got the heater going, so it should heat up a little bit quicker. And we are gonna do a final clean off, and then we're gonna set them up to sit for the final cure for the next 12 to 18 hours. All right, next day, everything has set up nicely. We came in, 3 hours into the setting process, kind of went over everything, got it all nice and cleaned up again. Other thing that you can do too, they sell clips to hold clubs together while they're drying. I just use this method. It's always worked for me, is just get a little piece of masking tape or blue painter's tape, and I will just cut them into little strips, just like that, nice small strips, and then just place them over the ferrule and the club head, the hosel, like so. And what that does is it just holds everything in place while it cures. So all these are done. We're gonna go ahead and just inspect here. We don't have really anything going on. They all look great. The next thing we've got to do, really just to finish off this part of the business, is we're gonna have to turn our ferrules. Every ferrule is not going to fit your club perfectly. They are slightly oversized, and they do that for a couple reasons. One, because the hosel diameters of each club are a little bit different. So for example, if you look at this Vokey wedge, you can see that this is pretty clean up against the hosel. There is hardly anything there, overhang. But if we look at our Maltbys, we have a little bit of overhang there, very, very minimal. So we'll turn these on the 1x30 belt sander using a linen belt, and we'll just be able to shave off just that little bit of overhang to get a nice, smooth transition from the hosel into the ferrule. This is always the most stressful part of every build, because if you're not good with turning ferrules, you can ruin it, and you're just gonna have to go back to taking it apart and reinstalling it, or just deal with weird gouges and burn marks on your ferrules. I have one chance. If I mess up, I've got one chance. Otherwise, I've got to order more ferrules. So we're going to make sure we do this right. So let's fire up the old 1x30 with the linen belt, and we will get to turning. All right, so we've got our old trusty Harbor Freight 1x30 belt here. Belt sander, we've got our linen belt. Zoe! So the key to turning ferrules is, number one, it's practice. You have to practice this. Use old clubs, get some from Goodwill with plastic ferrules on them, and practice. It's about speed, it's about rotation, and it's a lot of feel on this. Like I said, you can mess it up. When turning, I have here, this is basically a turning jig that I got from Golf Works. I had a little PVC pipe in here so that I can, when I want to let go of the club, I can do that. Otherwise, it would just tip on its end. And I like to set up against this back piece here. So I'll move my belt out of the way, and I will have my club set up to what feels like a good position for me where I can turn it easily. And this is kind of the motion that we want. So we're going to turn the belt on, we're going to start away from the belt, we're going to turn, and then we're going to move it into the belt, a couple turns, and that should take care of it. So we're set, this is our turning position. We're pressed up against the leaf here on the side of the I guess turning bracket, turning jig, and then I'm going to angle my belt to come and hit the middle of that ferrule, barely touching. You can see it's got a little give in the belt there. You don't want to do this too hard or aggressive, again, because you can ruin the ferrule. So we're going to start here with the hybrids. Turn it on. Now we're going to go into the turn. You never start static. You always want to push and turn in at the same time. So those are turned. So now what I'll have here is just a piece of t-shirt, of my sacrificial t-shirt. We're going to hit it up with our acetone right here. And then you're gently going to polish the ferrule, going away from the club. And this is just going to take away a little of those buffing lines that you just put in. We're going against the grain here. Remember, we were turning this way, so we want to go the opposite way. You're going to get a dry, clean piece. Let the acetone flash off, and you're just going to go ahead and polish the ferrule up. That one looks good. All right, so into the irons. Started with 5. super quick and easy. So just got to trust it. The more you do, the more you practice, the better you're going to get. So we'll give these a little clean up. There we go. Fresh and clean. So we'll just clean off the rest of those guys with some acetone little buff. We're going to put the grips on. And the grips will take 5 minutes to do this whole thing. Tops. Alright, so those of you who watch my channel, you know I use air pretty much exclusively for my regrips. Now, when you're using air, we've had this conversation before because I know there's going to be comments, you don't use double-sided tape. Okay? You don't need double-sided tape. You just use regular masking tape, or you can use this build-up tape. Build-up tape is a little bit thicker than normal grip tape, so just keep that in mind. So it's not going to make that much of a difference. One of these to one grip tape, it's going to be fine. One of the things that I do, however, add on when I'm using air is just a little, see if you can see this right here, just a little extra strip. This is about 1 inch at the butt end of the club. And the only reason I do this is because some grips are a little bit thicker up here. The grip tapers, it is all the same interior dimension. But I found that if putting that little bit at the top locks it in place, sometimes you may see when you do the air method that the tops may start to rotate a little bit. That little 1 inch additional strip at the butt completely eliminates the problem. Second thing is, you do not need to use any solvent when you install these. I, however, do. And I use, honestly, a tremendous amount of solvent. So this is my solvent right here. And that's about how much I'm going to use. 2 tablespoons. And the only reason I use it is convenience on my end, because it just lets you get that grip on a little bit easier. Now I will line up the club in playing position. I have a little cheat line drawn on my back board right here that lets me know where the toe is perfectly square. And all I use this solvent for is to just, that's it, just a little tip. We're going to put our compressor. This is just a regular 5-gallon compressor with a inflatable attachment. And then I have a long nozzle tip on here, which you just get from Harbor Freight. This whole setup was maybe $4. And you're just going to put it in there just like that. So we're going to start the grip just on the end of the butt. This is why we use the solvent. It just makes this part a little easier. And all you do is just let the air go and push. Get the back in place. Bring it up to position, and that should be it. Now I like to use an old grip as a measurement just to make sure I've stretched this enough, or if I've stretched it too much, I can bring it back. And I can see right here, this is something you should be doing whether you're using air or the traditional method. I can see here, I've got maybe about a little under 1/4 inch, and I just want to stretch this guy out. That was probably a little too much. It's perfect. You can see those match up perfectly, so we know we are at our desired length. And the best part about this is not that I need to go out and play right now. This grip is ready to play. It's perfectly fine, just the way it is. It's on there, it's not coming off, it's not twisting, it's done. And we'll just check our alignment here to make sure everything looks good, and it is perfect. So I'm going to show you how long this takes in real time. Remember, the beauty of this is you never have to take the tape off of your club. When you go to regrip, you just blow the old ones off and just put the new ones on. You don't have to replace the tape, you don't have to add tape, you don't have to clean the shafts. It's done. It's done. So here we go, real time. Get it locked in. I'm not going to rush. I'm going to do this how I would be doing your clubs if you drop them off to me. Perfect. That's it. What was that? Maybe 20 seconds tops. No need to dry, and they're done. It's just so easy. And again, there's no solvent to mess up. Yes, there's some times where I like to use the old method, and I've got the whole solvent catch pan and drip tray and all that other stuff, so I can recycle my solvent. But this is just, it's so convenient. And if you change your grips the way you should, every 3 months is like what I do, but you can get away with every 6 months. This whole process, 30 seconds of grip to do an entire set will take you 6.5 minutes. It's really a no-brainer. So graphite, same process. We've got the hybrid here. Same process. There is no difference in anything when we do this. If the squeaking bothers you, just use a little solvent in the grip, and that'll take care of it. That's all you need. Simple. Here's the complete set from 60 all the way down to 3 hybrid. Yeah, I got a 5 hybrid and a 5 iron. What about it? But you can see how nice it all turned out. And you can totally do that. It's not hard. I didn't use anything that you can't get from Amazon, or you probably have at home anyway. Just the ferrules. The ferrules are it. Once you got that done, you're good to go. Your clubs deserve it, don't you think? Until next time, make sure that you swing as hard as you can, just in case you hit the ball. G2 out.